And welcome to this next part. Now we will be covering old style candle flames. So what we're going to do is we're just going to be adding a cylinder, and this will be our candle. It's literally just going to be a little itsy bitsy little candle. And let's give it a wick. Let's give it some length, okay? And now we get to add the candle itself. So in this case, you can go a little bit of low resolution because we don't need it to be super high res. So we're just going to be using a cone for this. Let me just reduce the cone's resolution. Yeah. Okay, so just extend this out and shrink it down. Let's just get this a little broader. I think the bottom can come down a little bit more. Something like that. Okay, now it's smooth. And again, we'll be following the same normal texture for color. So what we're going to do is we're just going to create a new material, call this flame. Call the object flame as well, so we don't get confused by what we're working on. This will be shadeless. And a deep, actually it would be a lighter color. It's usually like a light orangey yellow color, and it becomes like almost completely yellow because of the compositing. Oh goodness, struggle to get that one right. Okay, so we're going to use a blend. Let's call this normal color. Again, leave it on horizontal, set it to normal, and ZYZ. Nice constant, make that yellow, not that yellow, oh. Something like that. Let's check out the material, it's way too much. Check out the candle. Oh goodness. Selecting background. And there's our candle. We can turn this up a little bit more though, I do think so. Something like that. Okay. So if you feel like adding a little bit more subdivision to this, you're absolutely welcome. But it's sometimes in total screen space, only that big. So it's kind of wasted geometry, honestly. So what I recommend is keeping it this big and adding a shape key, but you have to set the focus here at the bottom. So Shift S and set the cursor to selected, and make sure you align it so that the bottom of the candle flame is right there on that spot. Because we're going to have to make it go up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. It's going to be about one movement every half second. Go for shape keys. That's the basis, and this will be our, let's call it dip. Okay. So all you need to do is just select the whole thing and scale it along the Z-axis with the focus set on the 3D cursor. Okay, so let's see what that does. Now that should do the trick. So now we can keyframe it. So insert a keyframe. Go into your graph editor. So now we have it on 0. We can duplicate 0, set it at 15. Just want to make sure it is actually at 15. There we go. Okay, that's at 15. And another one at 30. And we have to take it up to be on 1. So now we select everything, press T for interpolation, set it to constant, and we can actually delete this keyframe over there and just move this one back to 15. Duplicate that one and set it at 30. So we have a start at the bottom, middle, top, end at top. So this one will pop down to the bottom. So all you need to do is press end, add modifier, and select cycles. So you can see it's down and up for every second it happens, one full cycle. So if you were to look at that, you'll see it goes, every second it goes up and down. Definitely. So we can go to dope sheet, select all that, and scale it down to there. Need to double that as well. Goodness. I'm going to take this one back to 0 and place this one in the middle. Good grief. How fast does this really need to be? It happened about every... See, it's just a little too long at the bottom. See, it pops up and then it pops down. So I think there's an issue with the cycle. So let's go into the graph editor and just see what it does. Yeah, see, it stays at the bottom too long. Let's just get it selected. It just doesn't seem right. I wonder what will happen if we extend this one. What that will look like. Now you see, that's much better. Okay, that's odd. For some reason it was not considered to have an equal response like that. I see, you learn something new every day, huh? Okay, so that's great. God always provides. So set it to 30 frames per second so that it goes nice and fast. And that will be our flame. Little candle flame over there. So let's put it on the candle. Let's see what it does. Perfect. Okay. So this is our candle. And this takes a fairly tricky compositing setup. So if this goes a little bit wonky, don't get offended. I'm just going to get rid of the background layer since we're not going to be using that. Pretty much everything is considered a freestyle object. So I'm actually just deleting this group. There are no other light sources. And yeah, that's it. Don't need Z transparency. Actually, don't need freestyle for that matter, but whatever. Let's just mark this as smooth, mark the wick as smooth, and let's get to compositing. So we need to give this a special pass index, unless of course you do the same thing as with the campfire, in that you separate the flame out completely, which is something you can do. But again, we do need this to be masked out by other objects. So I'm going to give it a pass index because I want it as part of the scene. So now you have the option of doing it both ways. So let's hit save and continue with the compositing. Okay, that's great. Now, first things first. Most of the time when you have a little candle flame like this, I don't know why, but they put a soft ring around it. You know, that's like a visual glow. I've never seen that from what I can remember when looking at candles, but since it's a creative element, let's just add it anyway. So first things first is we need to blur this to the extent that it would become round. So that's something you're going to do visually, absolutely visually. And we need to make sure we separate it out before we blur it. Otherwise, when we add a point lamp, it's going to use everything and blur everything and try to make a circle out of it. And this is just a disaster. So we have our pass index, color mix, and we use a converter. What did we design? Designated, we did 6. So use 6. And that goes in there. Let's just do a quick render with a composite node. Okay, that's great. Now we should see the candle. Okay, so let's blur this. Oh, let's use white. Let's use the white and blur that so we can see how much we need to blur it. Let's use a mix so we can see the difference between the two. Okay, let's go for, I think 20 should do the trick. Maybe 15. Yeah, I like 15. Okay. So let's add it over itself, because clearly it's it's going very dim. Let's make it like 20 or 30. Again, we're gonna have to check this out with a mix. Yeah, that'll do. That'll absolutely do. Okay, we can get our color ramp. The color ramp is what we use to make this inside black and the outside keep it black. So we shrink that in. Just get the outside edge of that little circle. Move the white up. Add another black. And we have our sphere. It's not technically a sphere, but you know exactly what I mean. And of course you can make this broader. So I'm going to make the outside a little bit bigger. Let's go for 20. 30. Let's keep it on 50. I like the way 50 looks. Okay. Now if you want to, you can add a color in this part, but we're going to have to blur this as well. So you can go fast Gaussian, relative. Let's go for 2. Let's just reduce this. It's like it's too big. Something like that. Let's make the blur a little stronger. Ah, there we go. Now we got some color on it. Let's give it a yellowish tint to it. Orangey. Yeah, orangey yellow tint to it. And of course this gets added over the final. So what you can do with this is just get the original over there. It's almost like a torus. Something like that. Now another thing is there's always a slight crisscross over the candle as well. This you can also do with blur nodes, but you can also use the filter glare. That's the one. So let's take our blur, because that's the way I prefer to do it. In this case, you can use a mix node with the flame inside of it, so we can get that color from the get-go. So let's see what that looks like. Okay, we're going to use this one on 20 and this one on zip, and this one on zip, and this one on 20, and add those together. But we first need to shrink it down. So take a color ramp and reduce it. And then we can use the same color ramp as the other one because we can get its color. And add that over what we already have. Let's go for about 10 or 30. So this have to go very big with this. And of course this needs a slight blur on it as well. See, what usually was just a little bit of airbrushing now takes a lot more effort. Having said that, this does work with pretty much any setup that you do. So 5 is a bit much. I think 2 does the trick. Yeah, I like 2. Okay, so that's nice. And of course our little flame itself also needs a glow of its own. So that we can do by getting from this one another blur node, as if you did not see that one coming. And we can add that over as well. But not by that much. I think 2 is a little bit low. Let's go for 5. Yeah, I think that looks nice. The only thing I would suggest is to try and crescent this thing a little bit. One way to do that would be to multiply a circle over it. So I'm going to quickly try that. If it doesn't work, no harm, no foul, but let's give it a shot, you know. If you never try it, you never know. So let's take these 2 and set one to multiply. Of course, they need to be white for that to happen. So let's redo this. And let's chuck that one and disconnect that so we only use these. And like I said, we need to make them white. The only reason I'm making them white is because the white will not have them affect each other in a negative way. Filter, it's under distort. So let's use translate. Since this one is multiplying, this one would be the ideal one to move. So let's move it by 0.1, 0.01. Okay, that looks nice. Let's go 0.01 up as well. 0.005, 0.05, 0.08, 0.008. Yeah, I like that. That's very awesome. I think that's great. Yeah, that's truly awesome. Okay. So let's use that. And color it. I think it needs to be this way. Let's just see. No, it was the right way. Okay. There we go. That looks amazing. I think we can reduce the blur a little bit. Let's go for 2. And reduce this to 0.007 and 0.007 just to have a little bit of more of a full circle. sure that looks amazing. Okay, I've got 2 viewer nodes here, and I need my composite node. Just get rid of that. Pull this down. That'll be the new section. I'll use my composite node. Okay, so let's leave the composite node for now and add a point lamp. So right there where it's at, Shift S, cursor to selected, Shift A, and point lamp. Again, we stick it in the candle. Let's just make our candle non-traceable so that it doesn't cast any shadows or receive them. Okay, that's wonderful. Candle flame, let's just select the point lamp. Okay, point lamp is point candle. There we go, candle. And of course, our light has to be a reddish orange. Something like that. And it has to be able to cast shadows. Let's pretend that it's very sharp. Okay. And let's add some objects because we have to be able to see whether it works or not. It's a very bright candle, especially for such a small flame. So let's get our point lamp a little bit more realistic by making it a spherical lamp and reducing its distance to be, say, about 10, or no, it has to be more than that. Let's go 15. Yeah, 15 is good, and strengthening it. Let's go for 12. Oh, no. Custom curve really allows you to do something really amazing with it. So you can make it nice and sharp and let it have a gradual fall off. That took a while. Goodness. And there we have our little candle flame. So let's just get this wall a little bit of texture. I still think this light may be too intense. So I'm just going to reduce the strength. Yeah, that looks better. Much more reasonable. Okay. Now obviously we need to include both layers. Get rid of the mask. We're not going to be using the hemis. And the environment lighting has to be a lot less. So let's go for 0.1. And the sample is about 5. Distance stays on 10. Candle, what do you call this? Stick, candlestick. Okay, that means we're just going to have to fake it. So if you go like that, you unwrap it from view, and then you can add a blend texture from the top. So go candle, blend, ramp it up, use UV and select emit. Okay, it has to be set to vertical. Something like that should do the trick. The wick you can keep black if you want to, it's not a problem. Or you can just give it like a redness. Yeah, something like that. Okay, so now let's check out this as a render. That looks very cool. And there it has its compositing added. So now we can get our composite node, the right one that already exists, and put it at the end. And get some outlines going, just to finish it off. So I'm only going to group these two together and call them freestyle, so that only they get outlines. Definitely culling, group, freestyle, exclusive, no inclusive, because it has to be only those. No need to add the crease, single thickness, no material, thickness, geometry, texture, all that kind of stuff is great except for textures. Hit save and do that again. I want to change the wall color to blue. It's going to turn out a greenish color, but I want them to turn out something like that. Okay, zooming in. Just want to get this last zoom stronger. Not zoom, brightness added. And it has to be smaller as well. Okay. Just a little candle flame, just like that. For the sake of interest, I'm going to be moving it around the scene. Oh, one thing that we didn't do is we didn't animate its flickering. So if you want to, this is not required, but this can be done. I have watched many shows and the flickering isn't really animated because it's such a small light source. Only if it's like in a character's face would they typically animate this. But if you want to add that little flicker, you can. I'm going to quickly show you how to do that. So insert keyframe here. And we need to go into our graph editor with the candle also selected. Okay, we just want to lock it so you just can see it. So we need to take this all the way over there and we need to duplicate it. And we need to duplicate it. We need to set it as a constant interpolation. And we have to think inverse. So let's just get our candle. Okay, see, we're not going to see anything at the moment. So I'm just going to select only this and get it to cycle. And we definitely need our viewport for this. So go textured. So we see the wall over there. And let's hit play. I just want to see if it's It's like slightly off. That's funny. In sync. So let's see that. No, it's even worse. So it has to be over the other side. And now look at that. It's like it keeps going out of sync. It's weird. Let's check the graph editor and make sure that this is on the correct frame. So let's just check this again. Okay, so it's slightly behind. I think one frame might be out of whack. I don't know which one. My guess is it's this middle frame. That's not where it's supposed to be. Praise you, Lord, for insight. We just need to reduce it. It's way too strong. So I'm talking about the flickering. So the only way to do that would be to get this bottom one and move it up to about there and see what that does. Still a little bit too strong. Make it like that. There we go. That's better. Very subtle. Still visible, but very subtle. Like I said, just for the sake of interest, I'm going to parent everything to the candle and move the candle left and right. Or maybe I should just move the camera. Let's quickly model something for the candle to be sitting on or standing on. Control P, object. So now, fantastic, okay. Okay, so now it's just a question of making the candle move a little bit. So let's stick it in the hand of a character and have the character move as if they were actually walking and pull the texture along the wall. Have a great one and God bless you.